Well, welcome into the Johnson City Small Business Podcast. We're all about connecting the folks of Johnson City to our small business owners here in our town. And I'm your host, Ryan McKinney, and thanks for listening. Sorry, we got a little mask adjustment today. Today, I'd like to welcome Will Crumley to the show. He's the owner of Foxfire Builders here in Johnson City. Old school Johnson City kid, which we'll talk a little bit about as well. And Will, thanks for being here. Welcome in.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you here. So we'll get to your business here in a bit. Just kind of high level, like tell folks about yourself. Tell folks about Will Crumley.
Yeah, well, as you said, we go way back because we both grew up here and went to Southside over here and Science Hill, old Hilltopper, and I've moved away for a while, came back, and just love Johnson City. I've always have, and enjoy living here and working here, and yeah.
So ETSU grad, right?
That's correct.
And then career 1.0, I guess, took you out and took you away for a while.
Yeah, I was in the construction program over here at ETSU and graduated out of that, and took a job in Knoxville, the big city, and
that's where the state stops. I thought.
That's right.
Yeah,
and so did commercial construction down there. Built a lot of restaurants, doctors' offices. Traveled all over the Southeast there with that company, and spent a little time down on the Gulf Coast building after Katrina, building high-rise condos and stuff, kind of replacement stuff down there, and got my fill of that, and got married and started having kids, and went back to Knoxville for a little while, and right back to the same company I'd left to go to the Gulf Coast, and then the longer we spent there, the more we just like, man, we're so close to home. We might as well just live in Johnson City. That's where we want to be. So
what was it? We got some folks that listen to us and they're thinking about moving to Johnson City. And so that this may be a nice little tutorial for them. What was it about Johnson City that, having already lived here, but then also now being young professional, that you were like, this is why we want to go back to this town?
Well, I mean, I've always thought that Johnson City kind of has the full package for me. It's a beautiful place, good people, good culture. It's the right size town. It's got everything that I wanted for my family, and not too small to have limited resources, and just it has everything for me. Good schools, you name it. So,
what was the before coming back here, you worked all over the Southeast. What was one of those favorite cities for you that you loved? Just, man, this was a great place to visit.
Yeah. It was surprising to me because, you think about the Gulf Coast, but I really loved Mobile, Alabama. We lived there for about a year, and we actually lived across the Mobile Bay, and a beautiful area, Fairhope, Alabama. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Wonderful place to go visit. Great little resort town. It's cool. It's kind of like a very crafty place, lots of artisans and artists, and was close enough to just hop over the bay to be in Mobile, which is a big city, or pop down to Orange Beach or somewhere like that to go to the beach. Cool spot.
I like that. That's cool. And so then when you returned to Johnson City, tell me what you did when you came here. Where'd you work first?
So I actually came back here to work with Appalachia Service Project.
Tell folks about ASP.
Yeah, wonderful organization. Was formed in the 60s by a Methodist pastor, actually up in Kentucky. The pastor was from Texas, I believe, and a guy named Tex Evans, appropriately enough.
Nice.
And so what they do is they bring people to Appalachia from all over the country to try to solve low-income housing.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for quite a few years now. It's very successful. They have 10 to 14, 15,000 people come to Appalachia from West Virginia all the way down to North Carolina, Tennessee area. And so they're headquartered in Johnson City. And I saw an ad for a job as a construction manager.
Yeah.
There was a little flood in an area of Washington County called Dry Creek.
Yeah, I
which I'm
remember.
sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I think it was maybe 2012, somewhere in there. And they had never really built new houses before. They had always done repairs and brought church groups and youth groups and stuff to the area. And they had taken on the task of that kind of disaster was a little too small to be recognized federally or even not much by the state. And so they had worked with the county government and gotten lots of private resources, lots of private builders in town and churches to go out there and build some houses back for people that had lost their houses in that kind of little micro flood, if you will.
Yeah.
And they were on the back end of that when I came, and they had so much success that they really wanted to continue to find a way to build new houses. And so I was lucky enough to find that, have the right credentials to come in and help build their program to build houses on a longer term basis.
What I've been impressed with Appalachian Service Project, and if you guys are not from here, then you won't know these names, but one, I know you're very well respected, very highly recommended. Margie Kendall, who's been on the show with Margie Foodie, was ASP. Abe McIntyre,
Right.
just these folks that you run into around town. That the other two I've known just a couple of years now, but then you start to see the pedigree of people that ASP brings in to their organization.
Yeah.
So for folks that are looking for a good opportunity to work with or maybe to learn from Appalachian Service Project. So
Yeah.
So from there, where's your next step? What happens next?
So I worked there for 4 or 5 years. We built around 100 houses while I was there. We went to Gatlinburg after the fire and built some houses.
Oh, wow.
Went up to West Virginia after a big flood up there and built some houses, and then built houses in Johnson City, Kingsport, Bristol. So after that, it was kind of we kind of built the program,
Yeah.
and I loved working there, and that was a great experience for me. But I kind of got to the point where it was time to let some of the guys that were coming up underneath me kind of take over, and I was looking for more challenging construction work because we were kind of building the same house over and over, and that was a challenge at first. But once we kind of hit a rhythm with that, I kind of started to feel like I wanted to do some more, and so I decided a couple of years ago to go out on my own and build some houses and do some work, kind of for myself.
So then you name that Foxfire Builders.
Correct.
And so tell me about that name. Where'd that come from? That's unique.
So Foxfire is a fungus that grows in the woods around here and lots of places in the country.
Sure.
But it is phosphorescent, so it glows in the dark. And I always liked it. We had it in my backyard growing up, and I thought, well, it glows in the dark. It's trying to stand out, right? It's a little bit different. And so I just one day it came to me that's what the name of my business needed to be, and yeah, and so I just ran with it.
That's great. I did not know that story, and I've never even heard of the Foxfire fungus. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Your motto is built to last lifetimes.
That's right.
Talk about that. Why is that important to you?
So it's important to me that that the work I do and the work that my people do is not necessarily the cheapest. We don't try to be absolutely the most expensive either, but one common theme is that we want to make the right choice for our client and for our client's dwelling. We've done a lot of work in the tree streets, and I see those 100-plus-year-old houses and what was done right on them, and we want to continue to make those decisions in houses, new houses we're building and houses that we repair that last lifetimes. So I want somebody to come after us and say, whoever did this, I don't, the name's lost to history, but whoever built this did it right, and we don't, like I said, we don't necessarily pick the most high end way to do it, but I also absolutely refuse to cut any corners that are going to cause a lesser than build, and so yeah, we try to have a high standard of quality and design, building design.
When you were saying the reason why you wanted to own your own business is to get into more of a challenging build and things like that. Describe that. Like why was that important to you, and what have you been able to do that's challenged you as an entrepreneur builder?
Yeah. I feel like I have a strong creative streak,
Okay.
and in order to express that in my field, I kind of want to find stuff that takes a little bit of thinking. That's not necessarily the easiest. We try not to do cookie cutter, even when we're building spec houses. We try not to do cookie cutter work. Everything's a little bit different. And when we do, remodels and stuff, I enjoy figuring out and the problem solving and the creativity that lets me have, even if we're picking finishes or whatever. I enjoy trying new things, learning about new things, and then trying to go out and try them and use them. So
That's cool. While you were saying that, I was thinking, like, when you said spec homes, I know you built a spec home with Travis Hathaway, our buddy,
absolutely,
who, by the way, if anybody's listening today, named Travis Hathaway, it's happy birthday to him.
that's correct.
So shout out to another Johnson City friend who's in our real estate industry. So um, talk about the nonprofit that you have been a part of and that you started.
Yeah, it's 180 Inc. Started it with an ASP friend of mine, Pastor Scott Parker,
Mhm.
of By His Blood Ministries. He's got a church over here, kind of off of Maple Street, in that part of town. And he actually worked for me at ASP for a time, and he's been a youth pastor and a head pastor, and he kind of left ASP shortly after I did, and actually working at John Wood's house and doing a remodel for him in the kitchen. And Scott called me up. He said, hey, could you use any help doing demo or something? And I said, as a matter of fact, I've got this little project. If you've got some guys, just send them over.
Yeah.
And so we had some of his guys that he's very active in the homeless and recovery communities. And so we had some guys come over and, work with me and do some demo. And then that turned into, hanging some sheetrock. That turned into painting and trim. And, we were just started teaching these guys. And after that project was over, we kind of said, you know what, we got something here. We've got, as everyone knows, we've got a real epidemic of addiction in our community, in our nation. And there's a lot of people that have gone through recovery and kind of have some strikes against them,
Absolutely.
and are maybe a risk to
Right.
take on as an employee. And at the same time, we've got in the construction industry and in a lot of trades a real lack of incoming tradesmen. There's just not as many people coming into plumbing, electrical, you name it.
Mhm.
And we said, well, what if we could take some of these folks that just need a chance,
Yeah.
and are already in recovery, and what if we could plug them in with professionals in the industry that are desperate for employees and for people to train. And so we started. It's kind of more. It's taken a year or two to kind of come together, but for the last year we've been 180, and the idea is it's a 180 in
Yeah.
someone's life.
Wow.
And we've had a lot of help. Thomas Fields
Yeah.
at Yes,
Yes. Mhm.
has been a huge part of it. Was right there with us from pretty much the beginning, and has been a strong supporter. And now we've got about 40 guys in the program, and we've got between 8 and 10 partners, which is what we call our construction partners. It's mainly construction right now, and so we send these guys out to partners to be trained, to learn, and to become an employee, and hopefully become an employee eventually.
Right.
And it's a year-long program. It requires participants to be in sober living. They have to go to class once a week on their day. We teach them personal finance, biblical manhood, fatherhood, how to deal with trauma. And we spend a lot of time on them personally too, as well as, in their burgeoning professional life.
Yeah.
And I think we've probably had about 20 guys graduate, spend an entire year in it. I've got a full-time machine operator that runs a skid steer for me every day. I've got a crew leader. I've got a guy that's a full-time carpenter for me now. So it's been a real, like, taking away the nonprofit aspect. It's been a real asset to me professionally to be able to develop my own guys.
Right.
And so yeah, it's something we're really proud of and trying to grow and continue to get it off the ground.
What kind of conversations are those like with those guys as they're exiting the program and saying, "Hey, somebody's giving me a chance.
Yeah.
You guys have poured into me."
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's pretty amazing. I've had parents, and a lot of these guys, and I say guys, it's all men right now. A lot of these guys are in their 20s and 30s, and some of them spent time in jail. Almost all of them have disappointed their parents and family at one point or another. So it's really cool when a dad and mom come up and, want to give me a hug. I've never met them before the day of graduation most of the time.
Yeah.
They want to come up and give me a hug, thank me. And which I usually tell them, well, it was your son that did all the work. It wasn't me. I just gave him a chance. But it's been really cool to see people grow and change their lives, hopefully for the long run, and become better citizens of our community, and hopefully become homeowners and taxpayers, and all those things that we want, and that we hope for out of our sons, our community's sons, to become. So it's pretty awesome.
That's been great. So 180, where do they find that for 180? Like Facebook?
Yeah, we have a Facebook and Instagram page. It's at 180TN. And then we also have a web page that is 180tn.com.
One of the things that I enjoyed just as a observer was his tailgate conversations with some of those dudes.
I've told him he needs to bring those back.
I think so too. I think that's a huge opportunity. And I know you're kind of in that middle ground, I guess. Maybe these guys not super proud of their story.
Right.
And I really feel that's their superpower, because there's so many people that would cling to that and want to support them.
Right.
Or are in the situation.
Right.
Or know somebody who is and can say, hey, and it also brings awareness to the opportunity of 180. So
yeah, I agree.
Those are really cool.
Almost every single one of I'll just go ahead and say every single one of these guys has a powerful story and hopefully testimony to tell. Just how how their lives have transformed, how God's worked in their lives. Getting to know other people in the same exact place that they are, and hopefully lifelong friendships are made out of this program too, and support. A lot of the guys that have graduated stick around and help the guys coming through the program now. They go on Saturdays and kind of are leaders for the younger guy. I say younger in the program guys that are coming through.
Kind of mentoring relationship.
Yeah, that was cool. Important for us to have, because if you don't see the people that have graduated and are attaining that success when you're in the middle of the program, and it's a grind. We put them through a lot, and they have to answer questions every day, and they don't make a lot of money. They do get paid. They don't make a lot of money while they're in. It's a real grind and a process, and it's hard. It's hard to overcome an addiction. Maybe one of the hardest things a person can do.
Sure.
Especially with the powerful opiates and things that are out there now. And so it's not an easy thing. And we've seen failure as well as success, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it was important for us to keep engaged, keep the guys that graduate engaged, keep the employers, the partners like me engaged, and really make a community out of it.
Sure.
Because that's kind of what it takes to overcome that for a lot of people.
So what's your all's vision for 180 and what you want it to become?
I think, and that's developed over the last year, but I really think that the vision is for us to set a track record and build this program and then export it to other places that could use it. Um, in fact, we've already had people basically approach us from Knoxville and even out of the state that have found us somehow and said,
Mm-hmm.
can we do this here? And so we're really trying to build and formalize the program as a full nonprofit and be able to say, okay, well, you can start a chapter here. Here's
Mm-hmm.
here's the playbook.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal, is to take it and say and export it to other places and say, here's how you do this, and wherever, Knoxville, Nashville, wherever it is.
Right. So speaking of vision, like how does Foxfire Builders, like how do you see your company's vision over the next 2-3 years and then moving over the next 10-20 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough to look at the future. We've been so busy. I'll be honest with you. It's just kind of we've just been inundated the last couple of years with, which is it's a fantastic problem to have. It's been hard necessarily to look ahead so much. I think for Foxfire, my goal is to. I don't think we'll ever be the biggest builder. We're not going to be some kind of national massive company. I'd like to keep it, local, and we want to continue to build cool stuff and
Mhm.
and neat projects, and um, we're gonna try to build an affordable house this year, a more affordable house,
Talk
which
about
is
that.
going to be a challenge. So actually, Travis and I are going to build it together.
Nice.
And we picked up a little lot here close to downtown, inexpensive lot. And there's a lot as our market has changed. I know you've seen it. Um, Being able to provide new housing at a at an affordable rate,
Right.
at an affordable price, has become a real challenge. And so we're going to do a little experiment to see what we can do with a more affordable house in an existing kind of infill lot neighborhood. I've seen a couple other guys do it in places, even over in Kingsport. There's a couple, and here in Johnson City, there's a couple. But the market's ripe for that. The demand for housing inside the city limits is so strong
Yeah.
that what would once have been considered kind of a marginal lot now, I don't think we'll have a problem selling
Right.
a house on it. So that's going to be fun. Actually, I could make more money doing bigger houses, but that one actually,
Yeah.
that's the kind of challenge that
Kind of the
that gets
creativity
me
that you're looking
jazzed.
for.
Yeah.
How do we
So
make this fit?
we're going to do that, and yeah, see how it goes. See how it goes. So
That's cool. Talk about, like, you mentioned, like, being so busy, and I think part of that is just this demand for housing due to COVID, due to, um, people relocating.
yeah,
The fact that the last 10 years, we've just seen this dip in new construction numbers, right?
right.
To where people are seeking, um, your services. How did COVID play a role in what you did? Did it change anything? Did it change your business in Johnson City? Did it change your perspective on anything?
It it was. I've had an interesting, I guess, experience with COVID, because we never stopped.
Yeah.
In fact, demand probably grew.
Yeah.
Um, People were sitting at home saying, I'd like to make a move. We're spending a lot more time at home. I'd like to have a sauna. I'd like to have a new
Right.
kitchen. I'd like to have, whatever it is. And I think people's perspectives changed on their homes a little bit, and kind of what they, at faced with spending more time at home,
Mhm.
they wanted to kind of customize their home to be as inviting as possible for them.
Right.
We've seen a lot of, I call it retreat building, but not in the sense of retreating, but like building your personal retreat, turning your home into your personal, kind
Yeah.
of Zen space.
Right.
And so we've seen a lot of demand for remodels. That it's huge. And then obviously people from other markets, come seeing Johnson City, seeing the Tri-Cities as a value compared to where they're at now. And, I think a lot of people figured out they don't necessarily need that brick and mortar office anymore to do their work. And so you can sell that house in a more expensive market, bank that money, come here and buy a house for half or less, have a place that has great schools and beautiful scenery and lots of outdoor activities and a sweet little downtown. And so we've seen a lot of that. The word's gotten out about our area for sure.
That's right. So the affordable house is trending. What else is kind of trending? Lumber prices starting to come down a little bit.
Lumber prices are down a little bit. A lot of material is still up. A lot of just odd scarcities. Paint has been scarce at times. Windows,
PVC pipe.
Yeah, PVC
doubling
pipe.
The price.
You just never know day to day what's going to be scarce or not. And so but the trend, the demand has stayed really strong. And I don't think anybody sees it. I think we've got at least another year before anybody is even going to talk about a downturn as far as new construction. So that's a big plus for those of us in the industry to know we all kind of feel confident we've got plenty of work ahead of us still.
How do you, just from a tactical strategy, how do you plan your day, plan your week when you don't know if there's going to be the supply at the house that you need?
Well, it really forces you to think ahead. Okay. So previously for, let's say, a spec house, I knew that I could go down here to Builders First Source and order my windows and get them in 3 weeks and no big deal. Now I have to order windows before I even start on the foundation if I want to make sure I've got windows for my house when I need them. And just the overall demand for trades services, I just tell people straight up, and I try to be honest with them, like, okay, we'll probably have to wait, for our painter or plumber or, everybody's busy. So it's made a challenge to, not necessarily for spec houses, but for clients to communicate with them and say, and communicate expectations and make sure that they're okay with that, because anybody that wants a quick turnaround job, it's not going to happen right now. I just don't know. There's just not enough electricians, plumbers, heating and air guys, and everybody to go around. So it's kind of like hurry up and wait on jobs. And so that's been the biggest challenge, is just, for me to have to put up with that, because I don't get paid until the, job's a certain percentage done. And, clients are, especially remodels, if you're in their house, it's taken 6-8 months and they were expecting 4 months, it's a big adjustment. And so it's been hard to honestly communicate that enough, because it's one thing to say it, but to get the client to believe you and know that, it's going to take longer than you think, has been difficult. But
I think consistent communication on your part would obviously be a value proposition of yours. What do you say when people are like, Will, why Foxfire? Why do I need to partner with you? What's your value proposition? How do you sell yourself to folks?
I tell anybody that's looking at doing business with me, that, as much as anything, there's a lot of guys out there that have construction knowledge, but I really feel strongly that it's a relationship. If I'm coming to your home, if I'm going to build you a home, we have to have a comfort level with each other, and personalities that are going to be okay to work with each other, because I'm going to be in your life for up to a year. I'm going to know what's going on with you. You're going to know what's going on with me. It's a real, I push the relationship side. And that being said, if I feel that, that might be a problem, I just don't hesitate to tell people, I don't know that we're going to be a good fit. And some people take that well, and other people don't. But I feel strongly enough about it that we don't try to force a square peg in a round hole. It's important. I've got enough going on that one bad job can really wreck a lot of stuff. And for me to stay efficient and to keep my clients happy and, my wife happy, even,
Yeah.
like I've got to have a good flow. And if I feel like there's going to be one that's a little off, then right now with so much work out there, I just, maybe somebody else would be a better fit for you, kind of thing. And that's tough to do.
That
That's
is tough to do. I mean, to turn away business to make that
Yeah.
conversation happen is pretty fierce.
Yeah. Contractors, for the most part, in my experience, are people pleasers.
Mhm.
We want to do what we want to make you happy.
Sure.
And because that personality trait of a lot of contractors, they have a tendency, myself included, to want to tell you what you want to hear. And that gets a lot of people into a lot of trouble. And it's a hard lesson. I still battle with that a lot. It's like, I want to please you. So there's a fine line between what I can actually make happen and what your expectations are. And so, the older I get, the more lessons I've learned in that regard, and the more I try to push, like, okay, this is what's actually possible,
Right.
whether you like it or not. This is what's doable. And that's not always an easy thing to do. And sometimes it means telling somebody you can't do the job, or, I tell people a lot, if they say, well, I got to start it in 4 months, I have to say, I don't think I can get there.
I'm not the guy for you on that one.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just a matter of, capacity. And that's another hard thing, to know how much work you can do with the limited resources that are around.
Right.
And so that's a tough one. That's always something, you have to play with as a contractor. It's like, I've got a couple of electricians and I've got a couple of plumbers, and they can only do so much of my work.
Right.
So I have to allocate that and find that balance so that somebody's not waiting a month for a plumber, which happens occasionally, but we try to limit that as much as possible.
How do people find you? Where are you at on social? Your website address, things like that. How do people get in touch with you?
So I've got at Foxfire Builders on both Facebook and Insta, and then foxfirebuilders.com
for our 55 and older crowd. Insta is Instagram.
Yeah. Right, Instagram.
Just messing.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter or any of the younger crowd stuff yet. So
that's good. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's always fun to catch up and kind of hear about what's going on. And I'd also like to thank the listener for dropping into the show today. Please subscribe to the podcast. Make sure to check out Johnson City Living. That's our friend Colin Johnson. Talks about everything Johnson City, the sights, the sounds, the smells, the restaurants, and the people of our great town here. So special thanks also to Market Street Media and our friend Leighton Hart, and for romance in your ears today once again. So this is the Johnson City Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan McKinney. And until next time, keep living your life by design.